From the national newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Brenda Molina Navidad. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling on NDP leader Jagmeet Singh to force an election by voting non-confidence in the government when the House of Commons resumes this fall. Poilievre says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau must not be allowed to stay in power for another year.
He will not quit. He must be fired. And the person to do it is Jagmeet Singh.
Singh has highlighted social programs like the federal dental care, pharmacare, and school lunch programs among the things his party has been able to achieve because of the NDP's supply and confidence deal with the Liberals. Longshore worker unions have denounced the federal government's involvement in the labor dispute at Canada's two largest railways. Union leaders representing dock workers in Vancouver, Montreal, and Halifax say they're ready to mobilize against Ottawa if it gets involved in the Longshore sector, the way it did in last week's railway lockouts at Canadian National Railway and Canadian Pacific Kansas City. At least one incumbent BC United member says he'll run for leader John Rustad's BC Conservatives in the province's upcoming fall election if asked. But if the offer doesn't arrive, he'll likely join the race as an independent. Mike Bernier says he wants to be in the race to defeat Premier David Eby's New Democrats.
I love fighting for the region. I love the job. I love the people and the community, which is why, I am already getting numerous texts and calls from people in my riding saying, don't let this deter you, run as an independent, you'll still win.
In Saskatchewan, the NDP kicked off their election campaign today, promising no tax hikes. In Manitoba, Premier Wab Kinew says convicted serial killer Jeremy Skibitsky should never see the light of day again as a free person. Skibitsky was sentenced to 4 concurrent life sentences with no chance of parole for 25 years for the killings of 4 Indigenous women in Winnipeg. Kinew says any parole hearings in the future should take into account the impact the killings have had on family members and others.
The crimes that were committed, the terrible actions which are now part of this person's vocabulary, means that they can never be free again. And I'm not entertaining exceptions to that.
A Crown prosecutor recommends 9 years in prison for the 2 men convicted of mischief and weapons offenses at the 2022 border blockade at Coutts, Alberta. The Michelin Guide is on a quest to find culinary gems in Quebec.
The prestigious restaurant guide says its anonymous inspectors are scouring the province for Michelin star-worthy eateries and will reveal their selections in 2025. Quebec is now the 3rd Michelin Guide destination in Canada, joining Toronto and Vancouver. Michelin says Quebec restaurant selection will be based on the usual criteria, which awards stars based on food quality, the mastery of cooking techniques, and consistency. John Kennedy, The Canadian Press.
This is The Canadian Press. In sports, one of Canada's most decorated para-swimmers has taken home bronze at the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris. Quebec's Aurélie Rivard finished 3rd in the women's 50-meter freestyle for her 11th career Paralympic medal. Calgary track cyclist Kate O'Brien earned the country's first medal earlier in the day with a bronze in the women's time trial. Canada's women's wheelchair basketball team lost to China today in the preliminary round. Canada's men's team take on host France tomorrow. Veteran men's player Patrick Anderson from Ontario says his team can't afford to give up early leads in the 8-country tournament.
We're going to come out of the gate playing downhill, playing with force, and hopefully playing smart too.
The Toronto Blue Jays finish off a 4-game series with the Boston Red Sox tonight at Fenway Park. The Red Sox have won 2 straight to cool off the Jays, who had won 5 in a row as they seek to escape from the American League East basement. From the Canadian Press, I am Brenda Molina Navidad.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.